For all those who appreciate the work that we're doing here on Standing for Truth, please hit that subscribe button because we are just getting started. How many times have we heard the evolutionists say creation science doesn't make testable and falsifiable predictions? How many times has an evolutionist been shown testable and falsifiable predictions in a debate or a discussion and they just completely ignore it? Therefore, once again, the question is, are creationists and does creation science make testable predictions that are both predictable and falsifiable? Let's allow Dr. Nathaniel Jeanson answer this very important question for us. Enjoy, guys.
And this is an incredible point because not only is it come up a lot in popular discussions, it's written in federal law. The famous 1982 Arkansas court decision where they overturned Arkansas law mandating the teaching of creation science. That was one of the points the judge made. He said, you can't teach creation science. It's not science because it doesn't make predictions. And that mantra has been, so I was born in 1980, it's been repeated my whole life.
Yeah.
And that's the milieu I grew up in, knowing this is what they're demanding. So I grew up listening to Duane Gish debate and, here's the problems of evolution, and hearing the evolutionists invoke that point basically as their favorite last resort. So you can watch debates, you can even in your own experience engaging people online or on the street, that the conversation tends to follow a fairly predictable path, and it tends to land on that exact point. Well, I can't come up with an answer. The evolutionists might say, they may not come up with any defense of the problems of evolution, or they might, it's just an area of research, or you can come up with all sorts of ways to say, look, evolution doesn't work. And at the end of the day, they'll resort to, well, who cares? Until you can give me something better, you've got no place at the scientific table. And that's basically where the national legal discussion is at, and where the popular discussion is as well. That's what students will hear in the university. It's written in textbooks over and over again. So it's a huge point that most people aren't aware of because they don't pull out that card until they get backed into a corner, basically.
Mm-hmm. So how would you respond to that? How would you respond to that? Because I've actually I was actually handcuffed to an evolutionist by BuzzFeed for 24 hours, and that's one of the things he brought up was he said creation science doesn't make predictions; it just tries to poke holes in evolution. And he said, and you know what? He said we're fine with not knowing the answers. That's what science is all about. It's about you can be wrong, and he said at least we make predictions, and then we can validate those predictions through testing and so forth. And he said, what predictions does creation science make?
So I would answer in a number of ways. First of all, I'd say replacing Darwin is the answer to that objection because it has put in print testable predictions, claims about the natural world for which we don't yet know the answer, claims about the rate at which DNA mutates, the rate at which species form. There are all sorts of predictions, literal predictions, and what they're demanding, what the evolutionists have been asking for 40 years is give us a claim that future observations could reveal to be true or false. And so one of the main claims I put in the book is, look, here's for humans, for example, in African people groups, because no one has yet measured a particular type of DNA, the rate at which DNA mutates in certain African groups. I said, look, here's some numbers. They're gonna change their DNA at this many changes per generation. I put a number in the book. That's something we can go and test. And what's been really interesting to observe is, looking at some of the evolutionary critics, there's been a few who've tried to publish rebuttals to the book, and when they deal with that chapter, and there's one in particular, an anonymous evolutionary blogger who's saying, well, this is a problem, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. His main response to me putting a prediction in print and then basically saying to evolutionists, now meet your own standard. You put a prediction in print. His basic response was, Jeanson doesn't get to pick which predictions we should put in print. I thought, well, I think I'm on the right track. I don't have an answer to this one. That's one answer. The second answer is, and this blows me away, these predictions are already coming true. So one of the predictions we can make, if you say, look, God created kinds of creatures. They're not species. They're not even the level of genus, but probably more the level of family. For example, everything from tigers to house cats are in the cat family. They descend from a pair on board the Ark of Noah, according to Scripture, and combine that with science. So there's over 30 species of cats alive today. That makes a prediction then that cats have been forming at a certain number of species per year, or it takes this many years to form a new species on average. That's the type of prediction you can make, and that whole model actually predicts species to continually form. This is something the evolutionists don't even see coming, because they think it takes millions of years for these species to come about. Well, lo and behold, about 4 months after my book came out, one of the most famous Exhibit A examples for evolution, Darwin's finches, those finches in the Galapagos that Peter and Rosemary Grant have been studying for 40 years, they announced in Science magazine, January of 2018, that they observed the formation of a new species of Darwin's finch. Well, you run the numbers, and they were shocked by this, of course, because it's supposed to take millions of years. They're shocked by this. You run the numbers, and the rate at which these species are forming, so if you take that observation, extrapolate it to the whole globe, what that translates to is at an average rate of 3 to 4 new bird species per year. If you run the numbers for young Earth creation, so there's around 11,000 total bird species on the planet today. There's about 4,500 years since the flood, so you say the bird species today come from the handful of bird kinds on board the Ark, 11,000 divided by 4,500. It gives you about 2 to 3 new species per year. So it's right in line with what young Earth creationists has predicted. So I'd say, first of all, in answer to that big 40-year-old question, you don't make testable predictions false, factually false. They're in print, they're in my book, and beyond that, and this again blows me away, they're already coming true. There's work I'm doing right now in human genetics. I said in the book we should be able to see the history of civilization written into our DNA. The transatlantic slave trade, Genghis Khan's empire, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. There should be signatures in our DNA of this. We're seeing that now come true, and hopefully some research that will be published this year shows that to be true. So not only is it factually an error, but the tables have been completely reversed. We're making predictions, they're coming true, and I'm not seeing the evolutionists counter that with their own predictions, let alone ones that are coming true.
That's fantastic.